Man, it's been a crazy week in WWE, but sometimes crazy is good. WWE, and I mentioned this on Monday, and I mentioned this again on Tuesday, and I've been mentioning this just dating back to watching NXT and the happenings that came out of SummerSlam weekend. It's WWE's opportunity now to prove a lot of people, including me, wrong. I feel like when WWE has a week like they had this week, where their backs are against the wall and they have to step out of their comfort zone just a little bit, and they have to rewrite what they already had planned, I feel like they operate a lot better. And this is their opportunity, like I said, to prove to everybody that there is some creativity within the WWE creative walls. That there is a passion for great storytelling. This might have been a crazy week for WWE, but in actuality, that craziness is making Survivor Series probably the most must-see show that the main roster has put on all year. And I got so much shit to go over today, not only with Becky Lynch, which is the obvious, but Daniel Bryan, and where WWE goes with everything leading into New Jersey at WrestleMania 35. Sometimes it's good to be crazy. Sometimes it's good to have things turned upside down and plans don't go according to what you expect them to be. You know, I've been excited about the Survivor Series even before Becky Lynch got hurt. Even before Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey was announced for the Survivor Series. I was just excited based on the Raw vs. SmackDown theme alone, because we're getting matches that we did not see all year. We're not getting a rematch. We're not getting a match that we've seen 6 weeks in a row on Monday Night Raw. We're not getting some tired, boring feud that has zero investment from the fans' perspective. We're legitimately getting first-time ever matches with a Raw vs. SmackDown theme with a fantasy dream match feel to it. I've enjoyed the Survivor Series. I've enjoyed the Survivor Series the last 2 years. In fact, I think the Survivor Series probably is the most must-see show of the entire year the last couple of years for WWE. I've wanted the brand split to succeed more than anybody, but with the current state of WWE, I feel like the brand split should go away, but I've been an advocate for the brand split, and I've called WWE out on every aspect of them abandoning the brand split. But Survivor Series is always a must-see show based on this Raw vs. SmackDown theme. And it's even more must-see now after the situation with Becky Lynch. It's not must-see in terms of just what WWE has replaced their original plans with. It's must-see because of Becky Lynch and where they go with Becky Lynch into WrestleMania. You know, it's funny. It's funny. With Becky Lynch, she was the first woman drafted to SmackDown Live in 2016. She won the SmackDown Live Women's Championship. She had a lengthy feud with Alexa Bliss. And WWE began Alexa Bliss's ascent into superstardom and kind of shoved Becky Lynch to the side. Becky Lynch was this redhead with an Irish accent, an accent that people really didn't find attractive in WWE management or annoying if you're some, you know. But we all wanted Becky Lynch to succeed. And the longer that Becky Lynch was held back, and the longer that Becky Lynch was put in catering and given unimportant shit and treated like everybody else, unimportant, the more we wanted to see her. The one thing that never went away, the one thing that only remained, was the fans' just passion for wanting to see Becky Lynch. Because the fans knew that she was being held down. The fans knew that there was something in the annals of Becky Lynch that was waiting to fucking burst out of her chest like one of the fucking huggers in Alien. And we're getting that in 2018. All through 2017, Becky Lynch was irrelevant. 2018, Becky Lynch was irrelevant. Until one night at SummerSlam, where she did the unthinkable. And that fucking alien hugger burst out of her chest. And now Becky Lynch has transformed into the fucking Queen Alien. It's the best analogy I could give you. Now look at Becky. She's the leader of the entire fucking hive. When people were talking about Roman Reigns going down with injury, right, or illness, and he's not going to be on TV for the foreseeable future, who are we going to get to replace Roman Reigns? The answer's right in front of you. It ain't Seth Rollins, it ain't Drew McIntyre, it ain't Braun Strowman, it ain't Brock Lesnar, it ain't Dean Ambrose, it's not AJ Styles, it's not Kenny Omega. It's Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch has transformed into the queen of the hive. Becky Lynch has given everybody, especially the last 2 months, and more so now, this week, Becky Lynch has brought out something that has been sorely missing on WWE programming. She's brought back unpredictability. She's brought back a sense of realism. And she's brought back excitement. Survivor Series may be exciting with the current changes that WWE had to institute on SmackDown Live this week. But Survivor Series is exciting because of where WWE could possibly go after Survivor Series. And this is WWE's true test. They operate better when their backs are against the wall. They did it with NXT, and they rerouted an Alistair Black injury that looked doom and gloom for Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano, and they made that into the best storyline of WWE all year. And now they're doing the same thing on the main roster. Becky Lynch goes down with injury. We don't know where she goes from here. But the fucking road that is being paved for WWE right now could honestly lead to the greatest storyline that the women's division has ever seen. And it was not by design. It was because of an untimely right hook from Nia Jax that landed Becky Lynch on the shelf and probably into the WrestleMania main event. We're going to talk about everything that transpired this week right here on Off the Script. This is episode 248. It's part number 1, Survivor Series weekend, man. I am fucking so excited about not only Saturday. Saturday is my main day. I love TakeOver, man. I'm excited about TakeOver. I can't wait to just get into TakeOver on Saturday night. But Survivor Series, man, is going to be a fucking hell of a show. And we're going to talk about all that today right here on Off the Script, man. Thank you guys so much for all the support this week. Raw, SmackDown, absolutely fucking killed it in views, likes, comments, retention. Both of those videos absolutely killed it, man. Some of the highest rated Monday Night Raw and SmackDown lives of the entire year. So thank you guys so much for coming on out and supporting what I do here. If you guys want to support, please do so, man. All over social media. JD from NY 206. That's where you're going to want to be this weekend. I'm going to be live tweeting Saturday and Sunday night. I'm going to be giving you my live reactions via tweets and videos. I'm going to be giving you my live reactions the minute it happens. Anything that happens on Saturday and Sunday night, follow me on social media at JD from NY206 on Twitter. Plus, Twitter is not only great for what I do minute by minute during these live shows, but it's also a great way for you guys to keep up to date on when new content hits the channel. So when I upload something on Twitter, or on YouTube rather, it immediately gets pushed to Twitter so you guys know. So make sure you guys follow me on Twitter, man, and turn on notifications. Hit that subscribe button down below. We are now over 101,000 subscribers, man. We gained over 1,000 new subs during the week. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and give that fucking bell, that notification bell, the middle finger, man. Please do that. Become one of the many who are finding their way over here, right here on Off the Script. And if you guys want to support through Patreon, man, patreon.com/JD from NY206. I want to shout out John Bonney today pledging $15. And I want to shout out Jesse Stryker for $10. And shout out to her father, John, who is a big supporter of the podcast as well, man. Always love his opinions on the current product and a great old school mind. So thank you so much to both of them for becoming part of the Patreon family. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. If you guys want to support through other means, Barbershop Window is coming up on their big Black Friday sale. Now, I'm part of Barbershop Window. Pro Wrestling Tees is the website with all the big sales. Barbershop Window usually has sales every single day. But I'm telling you this right now, Thanksgiving is next week, man. So if you guys want to get your shopping done early, if you know someone who is a fan of the podcast, or if you're a fan of the podcast yourself and you want to surprise your wife or your girlfriend, your boyfriend, or your husband with merchandise from the Off the Script online store, this is the week to do it. Black Friday is a big deal. Black Friday, I have fucking hit a grand slam every single year I've been doing this. Let's do it again this year. Barbershopwindow.com/offthescript. Code BSHOP20 for 20% off. 18 designs in total. You see 7 of them there. With the main event being the 100,000 subscriber t-shirt, now available exclusively on Barbershop Window, man. Get your t-shirt. It is a great way to support the show. And if you guys need a great gift, there's no better gift of Off the Script. So make sure you guys go get your t-shirts, man. Thank you so much to everybody that's ordered t-shirts this week. Got to shout out Harry's, man. Harry's.com/script. They are the #1 official sponsor of Off the Script. They got 2 deals going on. Number 1, you guys can go to Harry's.com/script. You guys are going to enter your information, and then you're going to be able to get yourself or a loved one a free trial shave set. You got 3 colors to choose from: the navy blue, the orange, and the evergreen. You're not only going to get a razor blade, a handle with your choice of color, but you're also going to get a generous size bottle of their foaming shave gel, which soothes, hydrates, and fucking smells fantastic. By the way, when you put that shit on your face, you're going to get a nice tingling sensation, and you're going to hear the little whispers in your head, off the script, off the script, off the script. You're going to know where you got it from, man. You got it from Off the Script. Absolutely great on your face, man. Plus, you're going to get a free trial travel case as well to protect your blade. Harrys.com/script for your free trial shave set. All you guys have to do is enter your information, use our unique link, pay the $2 or $3 shipping and handling, and it will be delivered right in your mailbox within days. I've been using it all year. I first found out about Harry's this year from my brother, Mr. Legionary Frank, and my dad. They both use Harry's. And when I used it, I'm like, fuck this other shit. Harry's is going to be my #1. I haven't looked back. I use it. In turn, I want you guys to feel the same way, man. I never put my name to anything that I don't use or don't believe in. Harry's is something that I genuinely believe in. Get your free trial, Harrys.com/script. They're also running a big Christmas special, man. You guys can get $5 off by using our link, Harrys.com/script, on their Christmas shave set. It's a holiday shave set, and you guys are going to get more bang for your buck, man. You guys got a $35 or $25 holiday set that you could choose from, which you could engrave. And you're going to save $5 off any one of those 2 sets by using our unique link, Harrys.com/script. Make sure you guys go and check that out. I would greatly, greatly appreciate it, man. Thank you guys so very much for all that, man. We got a ton of news. I'm not going to waste any more of your time. Let's get into the Survivor Series news this week, and it's going to be a big weekend. Now, I want to start off with the Survivor Series, being that this is the main event of the entire weekend. How long is Survivor Series going to be? The start time, the updated card, and the length of the entire show wrapped into one here, okay? The kickoff show starts at 5 p.m. So if you plan to sit through the entire event, you might need several bathroom breaks. You might need a ton of beer or cold beverages. Beverage of choice for me is a mix of beer, maybe to start off with, and then as we get into the later hours of the pay-per-view, maybe I'll transfer over to coffee. But make sure you guys have a lot of snacks, preferably me. I've been on this salsa verde kick, so I might have that. I might order some Thai. I might order some sweet potato tempura sushi rolls with some chicken fried rice. I don't know what I'm doing yet, but I'm making it a big deal. Whatever you guys want to do, man. You guys want to go the buffalo wing and pizza route? Whatever you guys want to do, man. Make sure you are fully stocked up. It's going to be a long fucking Sunday afternoon. People are talking about the crazy changes to the card, but they aren't really talking about how long Survivor Series will be. Now, Dave Meltzer noted on the Wrestling Observer Radio show that Survivor Series is slated to be a 6-hour event this year. Now, I don't know what that means. We're getting a 2-hour pre-show, so I don't know if that is including the 2-hour pre-show, 2-hour pre-show for our Survivor Series, or we're getting a 2-hour pre-show and a 6-hour Survivor Series, totaling 8 hours. I don't know. Because I've always been one to say that the pre-show really isn't part of Survivor Series. It's just there. So I hope that it is a 4-hour show and 2-hour pre-show, because there's no need for this Survivor Series card to be 6 hours. You know, the funny thing about it is that Triple H was on the NXT conference call for Saturday's TakeOver show, and he mentioned something that he doesn't like the length of the shows. Indirectly, he mentioned it, but he gave you that vibe. He doesn't like the length of the shows, and with NXT, someone asked him, will we see longer TakeOver shows? Will we see more matches added to the TakeOver shows? And he flat out said he's not a fan of that. He'd rather keep you coming back for more. He would rather quality over quantity, because there's nothing better to him than getting fans invested on what's to come next. If you give everything away in abundance like this, you're going to tire out the fans, you're going to tire out the performers, and nobody's going to be interested in watching the rest of the weekend's festivities. So I'm with Triple H on that, man. I completely agree with Triple H. I wish the WWE main roster stuff would look at it that way. And I've been saying the same thing every single pay-per-view. These major pay-per-views are just way too long. There's no need for a 6-hour Royal Rumble. There's no need for an 8-hour WrestleMania. There's no need for a fucking 6-hour, 7-hour SummerSlam. It's fucking ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Survivor Series card doesn't even need to be 6 hours. Just the Survivor Series alone with the matches that they have. So hopefully it's 2 hours and then 4 hours, 6 hours total, is what I hope Meltzer meant. So, the card right now, Brock Lesnar versus Daniel Bryan, Universal Champion Brock Lesnar, WWE Champion Daniel Bryan, Ronda Rousey, Raw Women's Champion against Charlotte Flair, who is the replacement hand-chosen by the man, Becky Lynch, Seth Rollins, WWE Intercontinental Champion, going up against Shinsuke Nakamura, who is the WWE United States Champion, Team Raw, Ziggler, McIntyre, Balor, Trashley, Strowman versus Team SmackDown, Miz, Mysterio, Shane McMahon, Samoa Joe, and Jeff Hardy. So, on top of that, we got another Survivor Series 5-on-5, which is Team Raw, Mickie James, Nia Jax, Tamina, Natalya, and Ruby Riott with Alexa Bliss as team captain versus SmackDown Live, Carmella, Naomi, Sonya Deville, Asuka, and a mystery partner, which I will talk about in a little bit. Authors of Pain, Raw Tag Team Champions versus The Bar, SmackDown Live Tag Team Champions. Buddy Murphy, the WWE Cruiserweight Champion versus Mustafa Ali. And good on WWE for putting this match on the main show. Being that I said that, now I probably jinxed it, and this match will probably be on the pre-show. But I'm hoping it's on the main show. Then the kickoff show, the absolutely chaotic and unnecessary Survivor Series match pitting all the tag teams on Raw versus all the tag teams on SmackDown Live. You got Rude and Gable, the Revival, the B-Team, the Lucha House Party, and the Ascension versus the Usos, the New Day, Sanity, the Colognes, and Anderson and Gallows. That is your entire Survivor Series card. WWE reportedly canceled Survivor Series Traitor storyline. Now, this was very interesting. I found out about this earlier in the week, and something like this was canceled which I'm happy it was canceled, because when I read the report, you're probably going to feel the same way. If WWE is to do something like this needs as much time as an Alistair Black, Johnny Gargano attacker storyline. So that went from August all the way to November. So you got most of August, you got September, October, and then some of November. You need something that's going to be built over at least a full season. So WWE reportedly canceled this Survivor Series Traitor storyline. Now, WWE is gearing up for Survivor Series. They needed to do everything quickly because they came out of Crown Jewel with only 3 weeks, literally 3 weeks, before the Survivor Series. Probably less than that, 2 weeks. 2 weeks before Survivor Series. And the event is this Sunday. But as we wait and see what they'll do during the go-home Raw, and we've seen everything that transpired with Becky Lynch and her attacking the SmackDown, or her attacking the Raw Women's Division with the SmackDown Women's Division invading, and then the punch her around the world that ruined Survivor Series for everybody, and the Becky Lynch Ronda Rousey match being canceled. It was an interesting note in The Observer this week that a storyline featuring a traitor is not going to be happening at all. Now, WrestleVotes chimed in on this as well. In fact, SmackDown was, or actually, the report stated that an invasion angle from SmackDown and them going to Raw was reported before we seen whatever happened on Monday. So, WrestleVotes chimed in and said it was WWE's original plan to have a Raw superstar get tipped off about a SmackDown invasion of the show. This would have created an angle where they're looking for a hole in their secretive plans. Someone was leaking information, and then they would probably go after the traitor, but those plans obviously did not happen. It's an interesting note that last year's Survivor Series, before last year's Survivor Series, they had time for a much better build with weeks of anticipation to wait and see if Raw or SmackDown would invade each other before the Survivor Series pay-per-view. The idea floated around the internet wrestling community about WWE doing a storyline much like this, and it seems like WWE almost went that way this year until they scrapped it before Monday Night Raw. Now, clearly, WWE could always do this in the years to come if they do indeed continue the Raw vs. SmackDown theme. Now, I am making a very bold prediction when I say I see the brand split coming to an end when WWE goes full-fledged on Fox Sports. Because you know WWE is going to need to line up that show with major fucking matches and major names every single week. Otherwise, what is Fox paying for? They're not paying for the current SmackDown Live. I don't think a lot of people are going to jump to watch SmackDown Live in its current state. They're going to need some big fucking names. They're going to need a Roman Reigns when he comes back. They're going to need a Seth Rollins. They're going to need a Ronda Rousey on the show. So I'm making a bold prediction in that the brand split goes away before the end of 2019. But if WWE continues this Raw vs. SmackDown theme, maybe they need to go back to the drawing board and line these Saudi Arabian shows up to where they don't bleed into major pay-per-views. You know, WWE did the Greatest Royal Rumble immediately after WrestleMania. And I fucking hated that. Not only I hated it, but I hated the fact that we got 2 fucking Royal Rumbles in a year. Now, that Royal Rumble was done for them. To me, I'm looking at it. I'm not attributing that to the fucking regular Royal Rumble that we see every year in January. But the fact that we got a Royal Rumble in January, WrestleMania, which are the 2 biggest shows in wrestling all year, and then you got a Greatest Royal Rumble in April, you know, right after WrestleMania, 2 weeks, 3 weeks after WrestleMania, that doesn't entice me. That doesn't interest me whatsoever. So, WWE did that, and then this year, they did Crown Jewel 5 days after Evolution, and 2 weeks, 3 weeks before the Survivor Series. How are you going to let everything breathe going into Survivor Series? How are you going to build captivating storylines going into Survivor Series with 3 fucking weeks? Do you trust this program to give you 3 weeks of quality television to lead into a show? No, I don't. WWE's lucky that they had the out. And I mentioned this, an easy out with the Raw vs. SmackDown theme. It books itself. It books itself. Minimal work has to go into building this show. But if they want to do something like this, they need a time frame like we've seen with Johnny Gargano and Alistair Black. Now it's transpiring at War Games. All this months of anticipation. And it's finally coming to a head at War Games. That's the proper build. That's the way you go about it. You're not going to do a Traitor storyline a week before Survivor Series and then build intrigue. No, you got to play that up through Raws, through SmackDowns. You got to have maybe little secretive meetings, and you got to have women or men from SmackDown Live on Raw and vice versa. It's something that's going to take a lot of creativity, something that WWE doesn't have the majority of the year. So I'm glad that they didn't do this. The way you look at it, and then compare it to what I'm reading to you here via this report, WWE obviously went the right way with the Becky Lynch invading Monday Night Raw with the SmackDown women's roster. And it actually ended up being a doom and gloom situation that in turn actually made everything that much more significant. So it looks like to me that WWE creatively went with the right decision, and then in something that was not planned whatsoever, they just made everything that much more important with Becky Lynch being in that moment, at that time, receiving a punch from Nia Jax, which transcended the entirety of the next 5 months. So I think WWE, by choice, by not doing this, and then not by any plans of their own, got so much more in the end here with Becky Lynch. So there you go. Sometimes the things that don't happen, they don't happen for a reason, and then you end up getting something better after the fact anyway. So I'm glad that this didn't happen, and if it needs to happen, it needs to be built over 4 or 5 months. Easy. Easy. But WWE doesn't work that way. They book week to week. We all know that. Another thing going into the Survivor Series is Shane McMahon could be switched out of the Survivor Series role that he's currently in right now. Now, as I mentioned, the Survivor Series team for SmackDown Live is The Miz, team captain, Mysterio, Shane McMahon, Samoa Joe, and Jeff Hardy. Now, I don't know why Jeff Hardy is there. I love Jeff Hardy just like the rest of you guys do. I respect everything that Jeff Hardy has done. I'm a big Hardy guy. But the fact that Hardy is there and not Almas bothers me. So Hardy is there and Shane McMahon is there. Now, WWE could do one of two things. They have a 2-hour pre-show. What the fuck are you going to do on a 2-hour pre-show? I mean, you're going to hype Becky Lynch for 2 hours? I think after that, it's a little overkill. If WWE has a 2-hour pre-show, they should definitely make it interesting for us to watch. Shane McMahon could easily come out and, I guess, just relinquish his role on Team Survivor Series, because it makes sense for him to do that. Because if you watch what Shane McMahon said just a couple weeks ago, he said, I'm not the best in the world. I did it for SmackDown. So it would be very easy for WWE to write Shane McMahon into doing the same thing here. I don't need to be here. I only accepted because, I bleed blue. But I'm not going to take a spot away from somebody else. I want to give this team the best chance of beating Team Raw. And the best chance of beating Team Raw is with me not participating. And then he chooses a Randy Orton or a Andrade Cien Almas or an AJ Styles. AJ Styles has nothing to do on Survivor Series night. So WWE has some choices there. They could have Randy Orton do a sneak attack on Jeff Hardy, get Jeff Hardy off the team, give him an RKO in the back, fucking maliciously attack him in the back, take him out, and Orton replaces Jeff Hardy. So you could be looking at WWE building something up during the pre-show here. Miz, Mysterio, then you got Shane McMahon taking a bow, backing out, replacing himself with AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, and Randy Orton. SmackDown should have a very, very, very good chance of winning that match with that team. Because right now, I'm going with Team Raw over Team SmackDown. But we'll see what happens, man. But Shane McMahon right now could be out of his current role. He could be switched out of his role at Survivor Series. Now, Mike Johnson explained on PW Insider Audio that although McMahon is currently advertised, he could be swapped out for another superstar who knows a thing or two about Survivor Series. He says, and I quote, Shane McMahon is currently advertised for Survivor Series. Now, I am told that as of a week and a half ago, that he will not be in the match. And I only read it through here. And then I gradually found out through some of my guys, some of my sources that I know who have kind of an in with people in WWE, that Shane McMahon is going to be replaced. We just don't know when. It could very well happen on the pre-show. So, a week and a half ago, Mike Johnson figured out and was told that he's not going to be in the match. And he will be replaced with Randy Orton. So, we'll see if there is some sort of angle where Shane steps out and Randy Orton is put in. Or maybe there's some attack where Randy Orton takes Jeff. This is what I came up with. This is not what Mike Johnson said. Where Randy Orton attacks Jeff Hardy because they have a history. Take him out, replace him with Randy Orton, and then AJ Styles is replaced, with Shane McMahon there, or vice versa. Shane McMahon replaces himself with AJ Styles. That's what I would do. That's the best way to go about it, to give the SmackDown team the best chance at Survivor Series. So, there could be some sort of angle where Shane steps out and Randy Orton is put in, or maybe there's some Raw attack, or someone from Raw takes out Shane, and it leads to Randy Orton stepping in. Maybe they'll just change their plans completely and Shane's going to be in, but everyone I spoke to in the last 48 hours seems to still be under the understanding that come Sunday at Survivor Series, Randy Orton will be in that Raw vs. SmackDown men's elimination match, end quote. So we'll see what happens. It will be interesting to see what they come up with to explain why Shane McMahon isn't going to be part of the Survivor Series team, but it could be any number of things, but hopefully it will be something that makes the match that much better on Sunday night. So, I'm not interested in seeing Shane McMahon. Does anybody remember when Shane McMahon tried to do the coast to coast a couple years back and Roman Reigns speared him out of midair and literally gave him a concussion? Yeah, I don't think Shane McMahon needs to be in a wrestling capacity. If you want to do it at WrestleMania and have him get a WrestleMania match, whatever. But having Shane involved in the Survivor Series again when you have more than capable fucking talent, much better options than Shane McMahon on that roster. It's a little ridiculous that I'm watching a 50-fucking-year-old Shane McMahon take the spot that could go to a Randy Orton or an AJ Styles or an Andrade Cien Almas. A little ridiculous. So Shane, come Sunday, could be switched out for the Survivor Series 5-on-5. WWE reportedly pulled Kurt Angle from the Survivor Series plans, which I'm going to tell you right now, I'm thrilled with. I didn't want to see Kurt Angle in the match, period. I don't want to see Kurt Angle in a ring, period. He's done. You got to get over the fact, everybody that's talking about Kurt Angle and wanting to see him in a dream match with Daniel Bryan or Seth Rollins or Finn Balor or anybody. People from NXT, get over it. Okay, this is not Kurt Angle from 10, 15 years ago. This is a Kurt Angle who's 50 years old with a broken down body, bad knees, bad neck, who moves at a fucking sloth-like pace. I don't want to see it. I didn't want to see him coming out of the Crown Jewel show. I didn't want to see any more from Kurt Angle coming out of the match with Drew McIntyre on Monday Night Raw. So I'm glad that Kurt Angle is not on the Survivor Series team. Now, Mike Johnson, who talked about the Shane McMahon situation, also chimed in on the Kurt Angle situation and explained on PW Insider Elite Audio that they had to nix Kurt Angle from the role at Survivor Series for one reason or another. It says, and I quote, I don't know what the cause was for the change, but a week ago, the plan was for Kurt Angle to be in that match and not Finn Balor. So, for whatever reason, they decided that with Drew McIntyre, and the Angle match, that they were going to write Kurt out of storylines and put Finn Balor in to take his place, end quote. Which makes sense, based on what we've seen this past Monday with Finn Balor and Drew McIntyre. You'd rather have Balor and McIntyre there to build tension there to a possible match at TLC than have Kurt Angle fit in there and just kind of make the match worse, almost. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see Kurt in a one-on-one situation anymore in WWE. That time has passed. I think WWE right now got the most out of Kurt Angle that they possibly could have ever imagined this year. WrestleMania with Ronda Rousey, Crown Jewel, Drew McIntyre. It was more of a passing of the torch moment with Drew McIntyre. They got him to tap out to his own move. Drew McIntyre symbolically was placed on this pedestal as this is going to be one of our guys moving forward. That's what that ending was about. But Kurt Angle being in a ring one-on-one, I'm over it, man. Everybody has to let go of this fantasy. Oh, I can't wait to see Kurt Angle in a ring with Seth Rollins or Finn Balor or this guy or that guy. No, you're thinking in terms of, WWE 2K19. You're thinking in terms of, wow, the name Kurt Angle in spotlights with one of the bigger guys on the roster today. No, it's not going to be that. And when you actually get what you are thinking about or dreaming about, it's going to be nothing but disappointment. It's like when you swipe right on Tinder, right? And you get this fucking beautiful face. Oh my gosh, she's hot. And you look at her pictures, right? And you see nothing but beautiful face pictures. Yeah, she's hot. Let me swipe right. And then when you set up a date after some nice conversation, you get to go meet her in public, and she's a fucking 400-pound whale with a pretty face. That's what Kurt Angle and the fantasy that everybody's thinking of when they oh, I can't wait to see Kurt Angle ring with Finn Balor or this guy or that guy. No, Kurt Angle is the fucking pretty face on Tinder who weighs 467 pounds. You want my honesty? You want my truth? There you go. Kurt Angle needs to stay retired. I'm over it. So it looks like something might have happened in WWE's plans with Angle and him being defeated by the hands of Drew McIntyre. So that could have had a lot to do with it. Perhaps WWE wanted to really sell McIntyre's win to make it important. Obviously, they wanted to because now he is one of the figures on Monday Night Raw that's going to lead them into 2019 in the absence of Roman Reigns. So for whatever reason, Angle was supposed to work Survivor Series this Sunday, but at this time, he will not be at the show. Daniel Bryan. Let's transcend into a little bit more interesting information. Daniel Bryan turned heel. The American fucking Dragon is back on Monday, or not Monday, on Tuesday, SmackDown Live. Daniel Bryan has reportedly been pushing for a heel turn, and he got it. Now, Daniel Bryan knows the pro wrestling business pretty well. And at this point, he can pretty much read a crowd and he can consume what is going on in the arena and in the WWE landscape. This is a regular thing for Daniel Bryan. He's a great wrestling mind. He knows what needs to be done. He knows what should be done and what shouldn't be done. This is no mystery. So therefore, it was pretty clear to him on Tuesday that his character needed to be refreshed. And we all can agree with Daniel Bryan that Daniel Bryan was a little lukewarm. The Yes Movement seemed to die. And we were all under the assumption that when he came back, I was in this boat as well, that when he came back and announced that he was cleared to wrestle, that the Yes Movement would have picked up right where it left off 4 years ago. That wasn't the case. And I don't think that's his fault. I don't think that's his fault whatsoever. I honestly think WWE putting him in lackluster feuds and really just sitting on him and waiting. And the contract talks had something to do about it as well. Because Bryan didn't want to sign a contract if he wasn't going to be benefiting in the end. You know, everything with his career and the money he should be making, and he wants certain things, and I think he's done enough in this company to warrant those certain things, and we're seeing a lot of those certain things as of Tuesday night. So a lot of that hindered on Daniel Bryan signing, and then WWE, even when they signed Daniel Bryan, they didn't really do anything with him. They pushed him in a lukewarm, fizzled out feud with The Miz that went nowhere, that we had all big dreams and aspirations of leading into WrestleMania, and WWE gave it to us show after show after show, segment after segment after segment, and at that time, we wanted it, and then when WWE gave us so much Bryan and Miz in abundance, I think everybody kind of soured on the fact that this isn't a WrestleMania match anymore. How the fuck can I get into a WrestleMania match with these two, even with the WWE title on the line, where I seen it fucking 16 times already at the end of 2018? I have to agree. But Bryan knows that he needed a refresher. So with Bryan turning heel on SmackDown Live, the go-home show before Survivor Series, it not only changes up Brock Lesnar's opponent, but it was also something that Bryan has wanted as Dave Meltzer explained on Wrestling Observer Radio. Now, we didn't need Meltzer to know this. This was one of Daniel Bryan's key components to signing a new deal with the WWE. I think it was Meltzer who reported that Bryan wants Brock Lesnar. Bryan wanted the match with Brock Lesnar in 2014. And now he's getting it in 2018. Now things come full circle, man. I quote from Meltzer. So, it's a complicated story, but Daniel Bryan himself has been pushing the idea of going heel. Just because his booking as a babyface with The Miz was counterproductive. It's been amazing to me that he came back in March, and here we are in November, and obviously he made this choice some time back. Not long ago, but weeks back, that he had to go heel. So, that was Daniel's call. In the end, it was Vince McMahon's call, obviously, but they agreed, and Vince gave him the opportunity to go heel. So that was something that he wanted, and he only needed it to be approved by Vince, which he got. So hopefully Daniel Bryan's reception and storylines to follow will be much better as a heel. To be honest, I am for it because it works two ways. One, I honestly think with Daniel Bryan, if you book him in a way that is a kind of a mix between Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano, two guys that I know he knows very well, and two guys who obviously want to work with him, so I'm sure he knows what they're doing, because there's a lot of talk between Johnny Gargano and Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan loves Johnny Gargano and would love to see him on SmackDown Live, and Johnny Gargano will love a match with Daniel Bryan. It's been thrown around, several times this year. If you have a Daniel Bryan character that kind of mirrors some of Ciampa and some of Gargano, and he's a really dastardly-like heel, where we see some resemblance of the Peter Parker thing that Tommaso Ciampa is loving about Johnny Gargano. Johnny Gargano's playing this role like you got to be bad sometimes. You got to do what you got to do to win. And Johnny Gargano at times channels that inner Venom. Some days he's Peter Parker, some days he's the fucking Black Spider-Man. That's what he's got to do. So if we see some mirroring image of what they got going on with Daniel Bryan, and we see some of the old Daniel Bryan kind of breaking out, but he's really this fucking losing his mind-like character, I think that would be really, really good, because at times people are going to be like, oh shit, I don't want to boot Daniel Bryan, I should cheer him, but then he's such a dick to guys like AJ Styles that I'm going to fucking hate him. In turn, that's going to make AJ Styles that much more over, because a lot of people, including, I'm not totally on board with AJ kind of, ruining the WWE Championship, but his reign was wasted. AJ Styles' reign was not boring, but they could have did so much more with AJ Styles. AJ Styles really should have lost the WWE Championship to Samoa Joe. Really, if you want to think about it. He should have lost the WWE title to Samoa Joe at Hell in a Cell. Then we get to Crown Jewel, and WWE has another opportunity to take the title of Styles, and they don't do it. We could have been looking at Joe versus Lesnar at the Survivor Series, but we didn't get it. WWE pushed Daniel Bryan to be a heel, and now, with AJ Styles having this lukewarm title run, and Daniel Bryan hopefully becoming a real heel and living the gimmick, that it helps out AJ in the end too. Because AJ was a little lukewarm. So AJ chasing a good heel in Daniel Bryan, something that I felt should have been done with Samoa Joe, and they didn't really maximize that either. Daniel Bryan was so loved by everybody, so to see him flip to the dark side, it may actually be the fuel that AJ needs to kind of rise to the occasion, and get that big fan support in a chasing role for the WWE Championship. I like it. Sometimes when our fan favorites go to the dark side, it's needed, because when they go through the dark phase and they want to turn babyface again, it's much better off in the end. This is what they should have did with Roman Reigns. It's funny how we all called for Roman Reigns to go through what Daniel Bryan is doing now, and they didn't want to do it with Roman Reigns, but they clearly do it with Daniel Bryan. It's as if Vince McMahon is giving you the fucking fuck you, the middle finger, But Bryan wanted it. Vince okayed it. We're getting a heel Daniel Bryan. I am more okay with that than the Bryan Lesnar match, which I don't understand. I really don't understand that. We'll talk about that in just a second, because obviously I got reports on that. So, when did Vince McMahon decide Daniel Bryan would win the WWE title before the Survivor Series? Was it on that Tuesday? It was not on that Tuesday. So, Meltzer noted on the Wrestling Observer Radio that Daniel Bryan did make the decision to turn heel, okay? But Vince McMahon also came to the realization that he wanted Bryan versus Brock at Survivor Series. Now, however, the two ideas didn't merge into one until the afternoon of SmackDown Live, when McMahon ordered that Bryan would take the title and turn heel all at the same time. He says, and I quote, "I don't know the reason, but it was over the weekend before the go-home show of SmackDown Live that Vince changed plans and wanted to know with Brock Lesnar against Daniel Bryan, or wanted to go with Brock Lesnar versus Daniel Bryan, with a title change for Daniel Bryan to be the WWE Champion." So this is before all the injury with Becky Lynch. So Vince McMahon, according to Meltzer, made the decision on that weekend before Raw, before Becky was punched in the face by Nia Jax. On that weekend, Bryan's going heel. Bryan's taking the title from AJ. Bryan versus Lesnar at Survivor Series. There you go. And they executed it greatly on Tuesday night. And that's that. The heel turn, he says, was decided that afternoon on Tuesday. It was basically Vince saying, let's do it all in one day and get the biggest impact. Man, there's some good ideas left in that fucking senile fuck's brain. Now, the weird part is they spent how much time saying that Brock Lesnar is the ultimate heel? Right? And this is where my gripe with this match comes in. He never comes to work. Blah, 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 blah. Meltzer says. Now you're going to put Daniel Bryan against Lesnar for that match to work Daniel Bryan. Right? Daniel Bryan's a heel. Lesnar's a heel. And now Lesnar needs to be a babyface? So what is WWE going to... This is a very interesting situation. Now, I don't know if Vince McMahon thought that far ahead. I don't know if his brain can handle thinking that far ahead. It was great in execution, but when you come Sunday, Lesnar's a heel. Heyman's a heel. They shit on the fans. Lesnar doesn't come to work. Lesnar's the ultimate guy who doesn't give a shit about WWE or its fans or the title. You've spent months hyping Lesnar up to be a guy who doesn't give a shit. Now he's in the ring with a heel Daniel Bryan. Do you expect Brock Lesnar to work babyface? Maybe the fans get behind Daniel Bryan, and somehow, without it being the main story or proper build, maybe Daniel Bryan goes into this thing as the David to Lesnar being Goliath. Maybe the fans just book it for you. I don't know. But either way, I don't like it. I don't like it for that aspect. And I don't like it, no matter how many times I've said I wanted to see the match, I don't like it because Daniel Bryan has been so stale for the last couple of months. You opt to give him a WWE Championship title reign a week before the Survivor Series. There's been no build. Daniel Bryan has not looked strong whatsoever on SmackDown Live, and you want him to stand across Brock Lesnar at the Survivor Series looking like a formidable opponent. Everybody in the community is stating Daniel Bryan's going to be retired within 30 seconds. Good luck with your retirement again, Daniel Bryan. This match should be a squash. Now, they're saying that because of how Daniel Bryan's been built up, and I don't fucking blame them. Daniel Bryan hasn't been given this huge push to overcome everything for the likes of a Brock Lesnar. So, WWE has a very interesting situation here on how they're going to book this match. And I don't know if it's possible. Yes, the thought and the sight of Brock Lesnar standing across Daniel Bryan and the epic nature that is this match, the stare down that's going to be is something that I've wanted for the last 4 years. But Daniel Bryan of 4 years ago compared to Daniel Bryan of now is not the same fucking person. The Daniel Bryan that won the WWE Championship, the Daniel Bryan that was supposed to fight Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam in 2014 is not here. That Daniel Bryan overcame everything and had an immense support. The likes of Stone Cold and The Rock before him. Now you're asking Daniel Bryan to go into a match as a heel against the ultimate heel in Brock Lesnar. Cold as ice. I hope WWE knows what they're doing. I certainly hope they know what they're doing. But here's the most positive aspect out of all of it. You got a great wrestling genius in Paul Heyman and a great wrestling mind in Daniel Bryan. I'm pretty confident, and I would be a betting man on Sunday night and think that they will pull through and they will give us a great story to tell. I'm not going to ever doubt Paul Heyman. Never. I'm never going to doubt a Daniel Bryan in a big match situation. So that's the one positive looming from all of this. Yeah, Vince made the decision, and Vince didn't think that far ahead. I don't know what other, I guess, negatives were there. I guess the only negative would be, staring you right in the face is that I guess maybe WWE didn't want AJ Styles to lose 2 years in a row to Brock Lesnar. I don't know what else it could be. And this reverts back to, Brock Lesnar being the wrong guy for the fucking job. There was reports that AJ and Reigns didn't happen because Vince didn't want it. And maybe Vince didn't want it because he didn't want Roman to lose. And he didn't want AJ to lose. I don't know. Obviously, you can't have Brock Lesnar lose. Maybe Vince doesn't want Lesnar to lose. Maybe Vince can't afford to have Lesnar lose. Brock can't lose because he's going to the UFC. And this is why you're treading dangerous territory right now by mixing the two. You got this legit fucking monster, this legit machine in Brock Lesnar who is more legit than anybody else on the entire roster, and you have to book him in the most realistic. You have to book him in a non-wrestling way. You can't fit a real-life athlete like Brock Lesnar into the world of professional wrestling when he's still getting his feet wet and still swimming in that UFC water. You can't do it. You're harming your product. You're vastly changing outcomes and storylines because of this guy being bulletproof. This is why so many people are against Lesnar. You can't have him lose. Everybody knows that AJ should have won that match if it was AJ versus Lesnar. Everybody. AJ needed a big win. But you can't have Lesnar lose because he's going to the UFC. He's back in the USADA pool. He's going back to fight Daniel Cormier, per rumor. How would it look to Brock Lesnar if he's going into the UFC to fight probably one of the best fighters on the planet, but lose to AJ Styles in a WWE ring? What do you think that does to that audience? You can't mix the both worlds. It's good for business, and that's about it. But the quality of your shows, the storylines, the logic, everybody that you've employed in your pro wrestling bubble is going to suffer. I would have booked AJ to beat Brock Lesnar. I don't give a fuck what's going on. But the fact that AJ is not the WWE champion now, and that we're getting Daniel Bryan and Brock Lesnar with little to zero build, not even little build, zero build, both of them being heel, I don't know what's going to happen. That's the only aspect of it that I don't like. This is not the Daniel Bryan of 4 years ago. If this was, I would not be sitting here complaining about it to you. But we're here, and we're getting the match on Sunday, and this is a Hail Mary attempt, hoping for the best. Let me know what you guys think about that one down below. So, continuing on with this Dave Meltzer story, I don't know what's going to happen. He decided on it then, on the weekend, executed it on Tuesday. So Vince decided to do it all at once. Let's shake things up. Maybe the big audience drops, and gets excited about it. You know who makes, you know who knows what makes Vince, do these moves? Maybe it was Becky Lynch being hurt. Dave Meltzer says it's like, well, a big move today that everybody talked about. Now, only time will tell that WWE, that move that they made and what it has in store for them, because, few fans seen this big surprise coming, but it certainly did a lot to bring attention to the Survivor Series event. Now, the only question is how much punishment a heel Daniel Bryan is going to take at the hands of Brock Lesnar. We'll see, man. We'll see. This leads into the next thing with Bryan and Lesnar. WWE has a very unique challenge with Brock Lesnar and Daniel Bryan at the Survivor Series. Meltzer also noted on the Wrestling Observer Radio that WWE is in a very strange situation at the present moment in regards to the way that they can tell the story of this match. If Daniel hadn't turned heel following his WWE Championship win, it would have made things a lot easier. But his turn to the dark side has created another interesting situation, and he says, and I quote, "It's a total makeshift show. Lesnar and Bryan is a very different match than Lesnar and AJ. Lesnar and AJ, we already know that if Brock Lesnar wants to do that match, then it's a great match. Lesnar and Bryan, with Bryan as a babyface, I have no doubt that's a great match, because if Lesnar wants to work and give him some hope spots and things like that, he could certainly do that. I have no doubt, as a freshly turned heel and being so much smaller, it's just going to be a really weird dynamic. The other thing, too, is that Bryan and the babyface thing would be catching him in submissions and Brock having to power out and all that. A submission master is very much a babyface role. Like the heel should be doing low blows and shot blocks and all that. You can do that to a degree, but Daniel Bryan doing that to Brock and Brock being a heel too, I don't know what the story is going to be. So Meltzer continued on with that, and he has just as much worry as I'm sure most of us do. Seems like WWE has a lot of options with the newly booked Daniel Bryan vs. Brock Lesnar match at Survivor Series, but like I mentioned, this is Paul Heyman, this is Brock Lesnar, and this is Daniel Bryan. Collectively, with those three, we could be seeing a great match, and I'm not going to sit here and critically pan it until we watch it. I'm going to give those guys every single opportunity. Every time I step into the batter's box, I'm going to give those guys an opportunity to hit the fucking home run. So I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt, no question. We'll see what happens. But the question of heel versus heel and how Bryan is going to operate in that match compared to what he was in 2014, vastly different. Vastly different. Now, with AJ and Brock Lesnar, this is another situation that WWE is not giving us at Survivor Series, but could hold for WrestleMania. So the matches that were canceled at Survivor Series, Rousey and Lynch, and AJ versus Brock, could be both rumored for WrestleMania. Now, Brock Lesnar is the Universal Champion once again, and he's not likely to defend his title in 2018 again. So the next place that we're probably going to see a Universal title match is maybe at the Royal Rumble. I don't know against who. Or, for sure, WrestleMania. But WWE has a couple of options. Now, this situation is just one of many ways Roman Reigns and his leukemia announcement has changed WWE booking plans. If not for Roman's absence, he would most likely be defending the Universal title at WrestleMania against Drew McIntyre or Dean Ambrose. But Lesnar is the champion again, so WWE needs to figure something out. Dave Meltzer discussed the situation on Wrestling Observer Radio, where he went into the possibilities on what WWE's options are at the moment. There's nobody to bring back from the past. So if you're going to put anyone with Lesnar, there's not a lot of options really when you think about it. There's Strowman, but I was told it wasn't going to be Strowman. Side note, my opinion, it shouldn't be Strowman either. That boat has sailed. The landscape of Monday Night Raw is going to be vastly different. So, Braun Strowman does not factor into Universal Championship plans. The best option for Braun Strowman is a move to SmackDown. I stand by that 1,000%. McIntyre. We all know what WWE's doing with McIntyre and where they're positioning him. Then there's AJ. There's Bryan. Probably not again unless Bryan beats him, and then they can do Bryan again. They can always take somebody out of nowhere, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of options for that spot, so AJ does seem pretty viable for it. End quote. Only time will tell how WWE ends up fixing their problem of having a part-time Universal Champion, or if it's strategy they want to keep around by backing up the money truck to Brock Lesnar and Sable's house. But it seems like when Vince McMahon decided to put the WWE Championship on Daniel Bryan this past weekend, he had something in mind. The only question is what his plans were switched around to. I can tell you right now, and you can quote me on this, I can tell you what Vince McMahon's plans are right now. The rumor for so long was that WWE was going to do AJ Styles and Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that at all. In fact, if I'm in charge, Shawn Michaels is not fighting AJ Styles or Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania. I'm done with that. Bryan is the WWE champion. I don't see him losing the WWE championship for a while. They put the title on him, they're going to go with Daniel Bryan. Okay? AJ could realistically, if they want a big Royal Rumble, you want to do Styles versus Shawn Michaels, you do it at the Royal Rumble. This is what I'm going with. This is my fantasy booking, okay? You do Styles versus Shawn Michaels at the Royal Rumble. Then you do Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker in a retirement match at WrestleMania. That's what you do. The Undertaker needs to go away. The Undertaker needs to retire at WrestleMania. There's no person on the roster that I want retiring The Undertaker than Shawn Michaels. That's it. It's over. I heard rumors of Undertaker versus John Cena again. Nobody wants to see that shit. Give me a fucking break. I am over it. I would take a 50-year-old Shawn Michaels to get a match out of The Undertaker better than John Cena would. I don't want to see it. At that point, you're putting in a 54-year-old Undertaker against a John Cena who really isn't a ring leader or a ring general. I don't want to see that. I'm going with Shawn. What do you do with AJ? What does Vince want to do with AJ? I tell you what Vince wants to do with AJ. Vince wants AJ on Raw. Vince wants AJ on Raw. Vince loves AJ. So Daniel Bryan is the WWE champion, right? WWE has made an announcement that the winner of the Mixed Match Challenge is going to get number 30, both male and female, because it's a mixed match tag team show. You got men and women competing on the same team against other men and women teams, right? AJ and Charlotte have been teaming up on Mixed Match Challenge. They will probably win the Mixed Match Challenge. This is the way I see it. AJ comes in at number 30. Charlotte comes in at number 30. They both win. Actually, no, not Charlotte. But AJ, and WWE can change plans over time. AJ gets the number 30 spot, and he wins the Royal Rumble. Okay? Vince loves AJ. Vince wants AJ on Raw to take over Roman Reigns' spot, because nobody knows when Roman Reigns is coming back. AJ Styles challenges Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship, and he gets that match that he wanted, that he was, hoping for at Survivor Series that he couldn't get, and he goes right back to square one. I want Lesnar. I want the WWE Championship, Universal Championship. So we get AJ versus Lesnar at WrestleMania, and AJ beats Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship, and he is the new Universal Champion, and he's the guy on Monday Night Raw. Now, what if, and I'm just playing what if here, what if AJ Styles is the Universal Champion, and we have AJ as the King of Raw? Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, Dolph Ziggler, you got Braun Strowman, you got Kevin Owens back, right? What if AJ and Lesnar does happen at WrestleMania, and WWE goes on to sign Kenny Omega to the WWE, and he shows up on the Raw after Mania and challenges AJ Styles to the WWE Universal Championship. What if Monday Night Raw is led by AJ Styles and Vince gives him the keys to Raw? He's the guy. Vince wants AJ on Raw. It's been reported for fucking years. AJ is wanted on Raw by Vince. We get the match with Lesnar. He wins the title. Vince, sure as hell, signs Kenny Omega to a WWE contract, multi-millions, brings him in, entices him with a match against AJ Styles right out of the gate for the Universal Championship. What if Monday Night Raw at that point went from fucking burning dumpster fire to, you gotta watch this shit. You ain't gonna miss Kenny Omega on Monday Night Raw challenging AJ Styles. At that point, we get Kenny Omega versus Seth Rollins, Kenny Omega versus Drew McIntyre. It's a possibility. I'm telling you now, it's a possibility. Kenny Omega could come to the WWE and be enticed with maybe a WrestleMania match and a opening feud to Raw. WWE usually hits the reset button, right? It's a new season for Monday Night Raw. What if the new season starts off with an AJ Styles versus Kenny Omega feud for the Universal Championship? So, if I'm booking WrestleMania, this is what I'm doing. I'm doing Lesnar Styles for the Universal Championship. AJ's winning the Royal Rumble. We all want the Daniel Bryan to win the Royal Rumble to challenge The Miz for the WWE Championship, but WWE probably saved us from that. So now AJ is going to win the Royal Rumble. AJ wins the Royal Rumble. We get a Universal Championship match with Lesnar and Styles. Intercontinental Championship, Rollins and Ambrose for the Intercontinental Championship. Daniel Bryan could go on to defend the WWE Championship against The Miz. You could still do that. Maybe the reports of The Miz turning babyface are indeed true. And we're going to get the same match, but roles reversed. Heel Daniel Bryan versus babyface Miz. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. They could certainly do that. Those could be your big three matches right there. Your big three championship matches right there. WWE, I don't know what they're going to do with Triple H. Triple H was supposed to fight Batista at WrestleMania. Now, WWE may put in Randy Orton to slot in for Triple H to take on Batista at WrestleMania. I've heard rumors that WWE wants The Rock at WrestleMania, but I'm hearing that The Rock is so swamped in Hollywood, he's filming Jumanji 2, in January, so his WrestleMania match could potentially be off the table. We don't know what's going to happen with that. But WWE right now, and then you got Rousey versus Lynch. Then you got Ronda Rousey versus Becky Lynch in the main event of WrestleMania. Those are your four big matches right there. AJ versus Brock, Seth versus Dean, Bryan versus Miz, Orton versus Batista, Rousey versus Lynch, Charlotte versus Asuka 2, if you want to do that, Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker. I'm pretty pleased with that WrestleMania. I don't know what you guys think, but Brock Lesnar versus AJ Styles, in all honesty, could be moved to WrestleMania in a way to get the title on Styles so that he is positioned on Monday Night Raw. Think about it. I think I like that idea, man. I don't know about you guys. Let me know what you guys think down below. Frustration backstage in WWE over the booking of Brock Lesnar. I can tell you why. The talent is fucking pissed off that Lesnar is goddamn bulletproof. We know this. I don't need no fucking report to tell you what the frustration is. He's sabotaged. They're handcuffing their creative plans for everybody else on the show because they gave the title to Brock Lesnar. He's almost a mythical fucking creature. He's unbeatable. He's unbeatable. Plans rerouted because you can't beat him. He's in the ring with guys that have to look the part to beat him. Vince needs to do the pro wrestling thing. and get the title off him by building someone over the monster. Roman didn't work. Roman didn't work. And believe me, if Roman can do it, AJ could do it too. Brock Lesnar probably wasn't supposed to be around the WWE this long. It was said that he signed another extension just days before Roman Reigns announced he was taking a leave of absence due to leukemia to focus on his health. Less than a week later, Lesnar was the Universal Champion again. So, the Wrestling Observer newsletter pointed out that fans might not be the only ones who are growing frustrated with Lesnar's booking decisions. It was said that I heard more from talent about Lesnar, says Meltzer, including the frustration and reality that he's pretty much unbeatable. This is also including the fact that Lesnar works so snugly in the ring, meaning stiff. After all, look at the German suplexes that he hit on both Singh brothers this week, and how they're both walking is a fucking miracle of God. End quote. That miracle of God thing was just me, but he did mention the German suplexes and how he just threw them. Imagine what he's going to do to Daniel Bryan at Survivor Series. It is true that Lesnar is booked strongly, and it is also understandable how something like that could irritate his co-workers. Only time will tell if things will change from this point on, but obviously Lesnar is going to be protected from this point on till WrestleMania again. It's an issue. It's an issue, but WWE has this issue. They could get out of it if they so choose. I just told you what they need to do mere moments ago. Finally, guys, before we get into the Becky Lynch stuff, big TLC match possibly scrapped after major Survivor Series changes on Tuesday Night SmackDown. Now, Dave Meltzer noted on Wrestling Observer Radio that WWE's plans for TLC were to have The Miz and Daniel Bryan again one-on-one, this time supposedly ending their feud. But now, that match seems to be up in the air. The Miz and Daniel Bryan were scheduled for their blow-off at TLC in San Jose. I figured that is now out the window. So I figured they got to do a gimmick match between AJ and Daniel Bryan for San Jose. It was noted that The Miz and Daniel Bryan could always become a heel team because they do work well together. Teaming with the A-lister might also help him get over as a bad guy if he becomes friends with The Miz after they feuded for years. But one thing is for sure, their match at TLC might end up in the air after Bryan's big title win on Tuesday. Or they could just go with The Miz turning babyface, which I don't really agree with. But if not The Miz, who does Daniel Bryan defend the WWE Championship against at WrestleMania? There really isn't any other babyfaces on SmackDown Live. You could do Rey Mysterio. I don't know. That's a fresh match. Mysterio could certainly do that. So we'll see what happens, man. But, you know, things change. With Bryan becoming the WWE Championship right now, WWE Champion right now, winning the championship, the Miz's plans went right out the window because you know that they're going to do a continuation of Bryan and Styles because of the way the match ended on Tuesday. So, Bryan low-blowing Styles pretty much landed them in a gimmick match at TLC. But, again, I mentioned this earlier in the show. WWE switching plans and having their back against the wall and doing these rapid-fire things. Yes, some of it don't make sense, but it's unpredictable. It's keeping us guessing, and that's the best part of wrestling. The unpredictability that pro wrestling brings to the table is the best part of watching pro wrestling. You don't know what's going to happen. If you knew what was going to happen all the time, it wouldn't be fun. It's fun thinking of possible ways. It's up to WWE to make sense of these possible situations and make the best TV possible. I don't fucking have faith in anything that they do, but the unpredictability of everything that happened this week alone is what's making everything after Survivor Series that much more exciting. WrestleMania season seems fucking exciting. And this is, honestly, the unofficial start to WrestleMania season. Tickets go on sale? WrestleMania. They did that this week. It's WrestleMania season, folks. The Royal Rumble is halfway there. We're going to talk about the Becky Lynch situation. We're going to talk about everything regarding Becky Lynch. Then we're going to get into the preview of Survivor Series, predictions for TakeOver and Survivor Series. Hell of a long show this week, man. Hell of a long show. But I got to get this out mid ad break. Audible. Audible is a fine sponsor of the show, man. They are offering everybody listening to the show 1 month free of service, including a free audio book of your choice. Make sure you guys go to audibletrial.com/offthescript. Go through the sign-up process and get 30 days of Audible on me. If you guys got an iPhone, Android, download the app. Use our unique URL. Go, sign up, get your free audio book. And here's the best part, man. If you feel you don't want to stay on with Audible, if you guys don't want to stay on and sign to Audible, you can cancel within the 30 days free, and you can keep the audiobook on the house. So you can cancel anytime and keep your audiobook for free. So make sure you guys sign up. New listeners, man, I know you're out there. Get something for free and support the show in the process. audibletrial.com/offthescript. Now we're on to talking about everybody's favorite professional wrestler, Becky Lynch. Man, Becky has captured the hearts of literally everybody, man. You got guys who are fucking obsessed with her, loving that stone cold Steve Austin 316 vibe that she's giving off. The fact that she's finally actually making her own legacy, or building her own legacy in the women's division after, you know, all the politics that we see with Evolution and Charlotte and Ronda and all this other fucking diva garbage. Becky's rising above that. Even the fucking women. Even the women. All over social media. Fucking my lesbian crush. Fucking just swooning over Becky Lynch, man. Everybody loves Becky Lynch. WWE's YouTube channel featuring Becky Lynch on the segments that she's been featured on SmackDown Live. Fucking millions upon millions of views. Becky, I believe, was trending number 4 on YouTube with WWE and everything that happened with Nia Jax. It's fucking crazy. But the Becky Lynch situation, obviously, you know, there are people in the community that, I don't want to be harsh. I honestly don't know how they have internet access, or why these people deserve internet access. I don't know why half of these people are even alive and breathing. The shit that I see makes me fucking hate not only the community. I fucking hate the community. But I hate the people in and around the community. You know, it's an issue where everything becomes, you know, all these social justice warriors come out. You got fucking pussies like Ryan Satin and fucking Pro Wrestling She and all these other fucking, these fucking disgusting people. Oh, it's about, why are we, you know, talking shit about Nia Jax? It's not ballet, mistakes happen. You know, all this shit. Tired of it. I'm absolutely sick and tired of it. The one common theme that I seen all week. We didn't crucify Seth Rollins when he injured Sting. We didn't crucify Seth Rollins when he broke John Cena's nose. You guys did the same thing with Brie Bella. What people don't understand is that this is not an opportunity for you to pull up your fucking panties and become some social justice goon on social media. Cut the shit. Okay? Social media is a place where if you fuck up, everything that you fucked up on, including your demons of the past, will resurrect from the grave. People are upset. Not because she's female. Not because she's a woman's athlete. Or it's some fucking, you know, gender thing. But people are getting on Nia Jax's case because she is a hazard to everyone around her. Seth Rollins is not a hazard. When has there been a reported instance of Seth Rollins being a hazard to his colleagues? When? Brie Bella was a hazard. What was documented to you about Brie Bella was the kicks to Liv Morgan. Nobody made mention of the fact that she concussed, or I'm sure led to a concussion, on Zelina Vega. Or the dive that she took and almost killed herself. And the one that she botched with Sarah Logan. Nobody made a mess out of that, right? It's the only thing that was brought to the table was the kicks to Liv Morgan, that injured Liv Morgan. Oh, it's not ballet. Injuries happen. Mistakes happen. Yes, they happen more often when it's someone who is a hazard to everybody around them. This is not Nia Jax's first strike, second strike, third strike. This is her sixth strike. She almost injured Charlotte, dropped Charlotte right on top of her head. She injured Bayley. She injured Alexa Bliss. She injured Sasha Banks. Mysteriously, she went missing for a fucking month. Why do you think she went missing? Because of Nia Jax. Threw Zelina Vega over the top rope, gave her a fucking concussion, and now we're looking at Nia Jax. If you watch the footage, how don't you know how to throw a punch? If you're a pro wrestler, you've been in NXT, you've been on the main roster for 2 years, and you don't know how to throw a fucking punch to safely give off the impression of the big chaotic brawl. No, you go out there and you channel your inner fucking Evander Holyfield and you're throwing a punch at Becky Lynch. It's tough to watch and not think that was fucking intentional. So, for the Satins and the pro wrestling goons and all these other fucking people on social media who want to make it a gender thing, suck my dick! Seriously, cut the shit. Tell everybody what needs to be said. Nia Jax is fucking terrible at what she does. It's okay. I said it without a fucking stutter in my breath. Nia Jax is terrible. Nia Jax belongs at the WWE Performance Center. It's okay. It is okay to admit the woman is not a good pro wrestler. The woman took away a match. Now, after the fact, I think we're all more excited about where it's going to bring Becky. But people are upset that the match was canceled off Survivor Series. I'm not calling for Nia Jax's termination. In fact, I'm going to book you a scenario right now with Nia Jax and Becky Lynch. Because this is not the only opportunity in which WWE has for them to meet in the middle of the ring. But I'm not calling for Nia Jax's termination. I'm not calling for her to be suspended. I'm not calling for her to have her fucking title match with Ronda Rousey revoked. I'm not calling for her to have any of those things. Nia Jax is going to get buried regardless. I'd rather it be Nia Jax getting the title shot against Ronda Rousey because we all know that Ronda Rousey's not losing the championship. I'd rather Nia Jax be the one front and center leading the firing squad there to get buried by Ronda Rousey. I'd rather it be Nia than Ruby or Sasha or Bayley or Ember or anybody else. So, fuck Nia Jax. I don't care. I'm more upset at the fact that WWE has put Nia Jax, and this is what you're not going to hear from these fucking politically correct fucking disgusting, nauseating fucking podcasts who want to get a foot into the WWE and are afraid to say anything. What is the WWE Performance Center for? Like, why is Nia Jax called up to the main roster? Why? Why is Dana Brooke called up to the main roster? Why did we ever see the likes of a Rosa Mendez or a fucking Eva Marie? Jesus Christ himself couldn't save Eva Marie. Why? Why was Eva Marie why was she taken from NXT to put on the main roster? Why? Is there a silicone protocol or quota that they need to fill? What? What is it? There's not enough fake tits on the main roster? Those women don't belong in a pro wrestling ring. And if you want them in a pro wrestling ring, there's no better place than the PC. She should have been down there until appropriate change was made to her in-ring ability. That's what everybody's upset with. Not the fact that she's a woman or stop the hate on Nia. You know, all the hate is coming from the people, and it's justified. And it's justified because she fucking sucks. She doesn't belong in a pro wrestling ring. She should not even be at the Survivor Series. She should not be in the ring with Ronda Rousey. She sucks. That's why people are pissed. I find it disgusting that people are claiming that, and it's okay to say she sucks. It's okay to say she sucks. You watch baseball. If your closer goes out there 7 days a week and blows a fucking save every fucking time, you are within your boundaries to say he sucks. Seriously. Or if your favorite basketball player goes on a streak for 4, 5, 6 games and is just fucking shooting the ball terribly, it is okay to say, in that moment, he sucks. So why can't we say a female pro wrestler in this moment, in this portion of her career, sucks? Why? Because she's a woman? Because she is on Total Divas and she doesn't know any better, or all this other fucking bullshit? Whatever. I don't give a fuck if you're male, female, dog, cat, alien. I don't give a fuck. You suck. You are god-awful at what you do. There are other talents on that show, in that company, that should be in the position of Nia Jax. The only reason Nia Jax is in the position that she's in is because she is related to The Rock. The only reason why Nia Jax is in the position that she's in is because Roman is Samoan. She's Samoan. Tamina is Samoan. Roman went out with leukemia. Let's do one for Roman. I don't hear other podcasts saying that. I don't hear any other podcast giving you the truth. What is it? Suck dick or lie to your fans? What is it? Both. Those podcasts do both. Here, I don't do none of that. Here, I give it to you as you should, as you would expect it, as I should. I'm done with this shit. Stop the hate. Stop for the termination of Nia, fire Nia, hashtag, whatever the fucking people doing on social media. Cancer. You're a disease to humanity. Cut the shit. Nia sucks. That's why people are pissed. Now, Nia clearly is playing it up on social media. Yesterday, she tweets a picture of her hand. We don't deliver mail. Injuries happen. Maybe you should be delivering mail because you fucking suck in a pro wrestling ring. But then she's like, is anyone going to ask me how my hand is today? As she shows off the bruise of the punch in which she caved Becky Lynch's face in. So this is not the only opportunity where WWE is going to be able to get Nia and Becky in the ring. Because Becky obviously was on social media playing it up as well. And Becky has everything that's coming to her, even more so now. So Nia punched Becky out of Survivor Series, but she punched Becky into the main event of WrestleMania. So in the end, folks, we should not be harboring all this ill will. Okay? We should not be this upset. Survivor Series now is more epic than it was a week ago. We got Charlotte and Ronda, and we got Bryan versus Brock Lesnar. Okay? So, cut the shit. But Nia Jax and Becky are playing it up on social media, which to me is a clear signal that Nia may have heat. Nia may be fucking in volcanic heat with WWE management. But that doesn't mean the business doesn't continue. What I'm thinking here is, and Becky made her pick. Charlotte's going to be the one to challenge Ronda Rousey at the Survivor Series. Becky, as of right now, is still the women's champion. Okay? What I'm going to do here is I'm going to book you a scenario in which we get to WrestleMania. Now, if I'm WWE, I'm stripping Becky of the women's championship. It's over. Becky's no longer the SmackDown Live Women's Champion. WWE has a tournament for the Women's Championship on SmackDown Live, and I really want them to play up the fact that this tournament is big, because you are ultimately replacing Becky Lynch, who is the hottest thing in the entire company right now. So, after Survivor Series, Becky is cheering on Charlotte and Ronda. Whatever happens, happens at Survivor Series. What I want you guys to focus on here is the 5-on-5 match. Now, with Charlotte now fighting Ronda, that leaves one spot open for the Women's Survivor Series team. Who should be the one to fill that role? Peyton Royce, Billie Kay, Lana, Nikki Cross? None of those. None of those women will fill the spot. There's only one woman that spot is reserved for, and that woman is Shayna fucking Baszler. Okay? Shayna Baszler is going to lose her 2 out of 3 falls match at TakeOver War Games against Kairi Sane. Kairi Sane is going to go on to battle Bianca Belair in a feud before Kairi goes on to battle Io Shirai at WrestleMania TakeOver weekend. Okay? Or TakeOver New Jersey or Brooklyn WrestleMania weekend. As far as I'm concerned, that is my WrestleMania. Anyway. Shayna's going to lose the title at TakeOver on Saturday. She's going to join SmackDown Live on Sunday. Now, you could probably see where I'm going with this. Becky had to relinquish the championship. Ronda is the Raw Women's Championship, or Raw Women's Champion. And Shayna is going to be the SmackDown Women's Champion. She's only going to give up the NXT Championship to go to the main roster, which there's nothing else for her to do down there. She's going to go to SmackDown Live, and she's going to win the SmackDown Live Women's Championship. This is going to push everything into motion going into WrestleMania. Becky is going to sit there and wonder what the fuck is going on. You got Ronda and Shayna, 2 of the 4 horsewomen, leading the charge on SmackDown and Monday Night Raw, respectively. Becky is going to go into the Royal Rumble, and she's going to win the Royal Rumble. Now, when we get to the Royal Rumble, Becky's going to come out at number 1, and Becky is going to be... I don't know if you could book it any which way. Becky should come in at number 1, and she should win the entire fucking thing. But by the time she gets to number 30, out at number 30 comes Nia fucking Jax. Becky and Nia Jax have a colossal stare down at the end of the Women's Royal Rumble. And everyone knows what had happened just a few months back before the Survivor Series. Becky eliminates Nia Jax after a lengthy back and forth. Nia just toying with her, teasing her, beating her up, tossing her out. She knows she's got this. Becky makes the fucking monumental comeback to win the Royal Rumble, challenge Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania, and there you go. That's who she wants. All roads lead to Ronda. Charlotte could win the title at WrestleMania. She would win the Elimination Chamber. She would beat Shayna at WrestleMania. Ronda would drop the title to Becky. So the power shifts from the 4 horsewomen right now to the WWE 4 horsewomen at WrestleMania, which spawns the 4 horsewomen versus the 4 horsewomen at, I guess, Survivor Series, leading into Survivor Series in 2019. I cannot book it any better than that. So we go from Ronda and Becky being canceled. Now it's Ronda and Charlotte. Ronda's going to win. Ronda's going to win. In fact, we may see Shayna Baszler interfere in that match, for all I know. I don't think WWE's going to have Ronda beat Charlotte clean or tap Charlotte out. It's going to be a distraction. So, Charlotte would lose via distraction. Shayna and Charlotte then have their feud set up. They meet in the finals of the SmackDown tournament. Shayna wins the title. Becky goes on to the Royal Rumble. She wins the Royal Rumble by eliminating Nia Jax in the end. She goes on to challenge Ronda Rousey for the Women's Championship. Wins the Women's Championship at WrestleMania. She's the first one to beat Ronda Rousey. Charlotte wins against Shayna Baszler, and we are off and running. I can't book it any better. Shayna's going to be the fifth member of that Team SmackDown. There's no better woman for the job. Not Nikki Cross. It's not anybody else irrelevant on the roster. Shayna. WWE has the opportunity to tell this story now and have it be the greatest women's story that they've ever told. And it's not by their design. The hands of God. The hands of God. That might have well been the fist of God himself that Nia Jax threw. Nia Jax. This is why I said everybody should just tone down the fucking hate on Nia Jax. She's awful. We all know that. But she just may have spawned off the greatest women's storyline in all of professional wrestling. Let's calm down. So, Becky's injury. The punch heard round the world. Why didn't WWE reveal Lynch's injury on SmackDown Live? Well, the Wrestling Observer actually noted that it was made the next morning by both Vince McMahon and Ronda Rousey to push the Becky match to WrestleMania. So, let me reiterate that. Vince and Ronda made the decision to push the Becky match to WrestleMania. Now, before I continue on, I pray to whatever God is listening to all wrestling fans around the world. WWE has absolutely no other choice but to make this match at WrestleMania. I don't want to see it at the Rumble. I don't want to see it at the Elimination Chamber. I don't want to see it anywhere else but WrestleMania. WWE, for all the fucking times that plans change, nothing needs to change here. It books itself. Simple. Absolutely simple storytelling. Survivor Series and everything that happened because of this fucking punch is booking itself. If WWE does not go through with these plans, fuck this company. Everyone wants to see this match, and they know it. They have to know it. If WWE can give me 2 years of nauseating fucking garbage by Roman Reigns getting Brock Lesnar twice at both major shows of the year, at WrestleMania and SummerSlam, then they can fucking sit out 4 months and let this book itself. This needs to be at WrestleMania and nowhere else. Ronda pushed for this, and I'm hoping that WWE, listening to Ronda and putting this match on WrestleMania's card by her choice, listening to her words and her choice, that it's really going to stick. I hope so. I certainly hope so. So, Lynch's actual injury of a broken nose was substituted on television by just saying fractured face. Why? It was said that the fractured face sounds way more serious than just a broken nose because it might not be enough to keep Lynch out of action in a big match. If it was just a broken nose, Becky was going to fight at Survivor Series. But WWE has a serious issue with concussions, and they would not clear Becky Lynch at all with a concussion for Survivor Series. So, on top of the concussion, she was out. But a broken nose, WWE just, had a play on words. Broken face. Plus, it sounds a lot more fucking badass if Becky is standing in the ring on Tuesday night after what happened on Monday with a broken fucking face. Gotta love it. So, at this time, there's no timetable for her return. She could be out past 30 days. And this is why I said strip her of the title. Give her that leniency. Give her that opportunity to go past the 30 days with the championship and have everything at Survivor Series transpire. Becky should relinquish the title and have it be a situation where she is not pinned, she's not submitted, she didn't lose it to anybody, she has to relinquish it. So by the time she wins the Royal Rumble, she wants Ronda. She's only going to replace one title with the other. She already gave Charlotte her blessing for the SmackDown. She wants Ronda. You ain't the baddest bitch on the planet. You're the luckiest. You're just switching out one title for the other. There you go. I don't know what else to tell you, man. It's fucking perfect. Plus, Becky ends up on Monday Night Raw. Which, in my case, I told you in the beginning of the show, I don't think the brand split's going to be around by the Fox deal in October 2019. So, brand or what brand these women are associated with may not even matter at that point. So, that's the reason why they did that. At this time, there's no timetable for her return, but it looks like WWE's on-screen reasons for canceling the match was enough to make it work into the storyline and compensate for this unfortunate situation in real life. So, right now, like I mentioned, Becky Lynch just punched herself into the main event of WrestleMania. Or Nia just punched Becky into the main event of WrestleMania. Nia Jax has major backstage heat in the WWE. Now, there are plenty of fans who are a little more than irritated with the Nia Jax situation right now. And apparently, fans aren't the only ones because she reportedly has some major heat backstage as well. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful reports that the backstage thinking of accidents have changed very quickly in WWE. Nia is apparently viewed as careless in the ring. It is said that the backstage mentality on the SmackDown roster is that they're pretty angry at Nia Jax right now, and rightfully fucking so. This is totally understandable as well, seeing how she injured their champion. But let's not forget that Nia Jax is currently the number one contender for the Raw Women's Championship. So it will be very interesting how this plays out in the storyline to compensate for the backstage opinion of Nia Jax right now. WWE has a simple way of going about this. Have her go out there and get buried by Ronda Rousey. Like I mentioned, she's going to take one for the fucking team now. She injured Becky carelessly. Now she has to be set up for taking one for the team. Simple. Have Ronda bury her, and then have it just continue going on, play up the storyline, and put Nia in number 30 at the Rumble, and have her come face-to-face with Becky. They have to meet. This needs a conclusion. That is your conclusion. And man, would people mark out for that in the Royal Rumble. I'm just telling you right now. So when everybody else is talking blah, 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 this is how they book it, you're going to come back and listen and listen to me being the first one to fucking tell you how things are going to go. So when it actually does happen, you'll realize that, oh, it's not this guy, or it's not that guy, or it's not this guy. And then when I complain about it on social media, I'll refer back to this fucking Survivor Series video and be like, what? I booked that 4 months ago. Blow me. WWE doesn't go about the simplest way of booking this, which is the most effective way of doing it, then fuck them. But Nia needs to go out there and get buried by Ronda Rousey. I don't give a fuck if you got Tamina or Bull Nakano. I don't give a fuck if you got Karma. I don't give a fuck. Buried. Don't want to hear it. So it's going to be very interesting what they do with Nia. And if they have her go out there and take one for the entire women's roster. Speaking of Ronda, now she's fighting Charlotte and not Becky. Ronda Rousey was all set to face Becky Lynch. We all know that. But it was noted on Wrestling Observer Radio that Rousey is going into Survivor Series with a very small amount of preparation because her matches are usually rehearsed well in advance. Rousey worked for months on her WrestleMania debut match, which was the best match that she's ever put on, and practiced with Nikki Bella for weeks before their match at Evolution, but that match was trash. If Rousey is going to be against anyone in this kind of situation, at least it will be Charlotte, who has the veteran mind of a second-generation superstar. Now it looks like they will have to call it in the ring to a certain extent, although Dave Meltzer did mention that they would likely have rehearsal time in the upcoming days. Needless to say, Charlotte Flair probably had to clear her calendar at the last minute. It would have been nice to still see Rousey and Lynch and what they were planning, but now it looks like we'll have to wait even longer for this now fucking dream match to happen, hopefully, at WrestleMania. I'll tell you what, man. You know, everybody loves Charlotte, and there are people who think Charlotte's overrated. Right? I think Charlotte's great at what she does, don't get me wrong, but I don't think she's the best women's wrestler on the roster. By far, she's not the best women's wrestler on the roster. And don't at me, please. I don't give a fuck who I make salty with these comments. Sasha Banks, I'd take over Charlotte any day of the week. Io Shirai, Toni Storm. I mean, give me a break. Charlotte's not the best women's wrestler on the roster. And I mentioned this several times. Impact has the crown jewel of Tessa Blanchard in their division. I'd take Tessa Blanchard over fucking Charlotte any day of the week. Any day of the week. All right? The one thing about this, it might be a good match. It's going to be something to behold. Don't get me wrong. But this, out of everything, I'm telling you right now, this is going to be a test to how good Charlotte really is. No preparation. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that they have no preparation at all. I'm pretty sure they're at the PC right now, practicing this match. But this is going to be a test to how good Charlotte really is with someone like Ronda, who is still relatively green and learning the ropes in WWE. It's going to show you exactly how good Charlotte really is. If she has a good match, I have no problem coming on here and telling you Charlotte's one of the best in the world. But right now, I don't think Charlotte is, the best. She's not the best in the WWE. It's going to be very interesting to see what she does with Ronda and how she rises to the occasion, being that this match was made last minute. We'll see what happens. And a lot of people are upset that this match is not happening at WrestleMania. Listen, the lore of Becky Lynch, this mythical fucking figure that is Becky Lynch right now, is making her match with Ronda bigger in every aspect than what we thought of Charlotte and Ronda Rousey. And listen, I'm glad it's not Charlotte at WrestleMania and it is Becky Lynch. Because Charlotte's seen her day in the women's division. She has. She had her day with Sasha back in the day, trading the title back and forth like a fucking hot potato. Now it's Becky's time. They shared that moment. Now it's Becky's time. When's Bayley going to get her time? I don't know. Bayley's the last one on the roster out of all three. She may be the last one to get a huge rub in creating a legacy here in the women's division. But it's going to be interesting on Charlotte to how good she really is at Survivor Series against Ronda Rousey. Becky Lynch could be stripped of the Women's Championship, and I mentioned that I'd absolutely 100% strip the title off Becky Lynch. Have her sit the 30 days and strip the title off of Becky Lynch. Wrestling Observer stated that since Lynch was able to cut a promo in the ring the next night on SmackDown Live without having any trouble, her concussion might not be that bad, but it was obviously enough to keep her out of the match. It was noted that taking the SmackDown Women's title off of Becky Lynch will depend on a lot of circumstances, but logic would indicate that if WWE's direction for WrestleMania next year is Lynch and Rousey, then someone will need to drop their title before then. So the most logical way to book Lynch versus Rousey for Mania would be to have Becky win the Royal Rumble and then go on to challenge Ronda for the Raw Women's Championship. Therefore, it's likely that we could be expecting to see some type of title change take place on the women's roster before January. No title change. Becky is not going to factor into a title change. She drops the title without losing it, and you don't pin Becky Lynch, period. You have Shayna win the title, you book Charlotte versus Shayna at WrestleMania, and then you book Ronda versus Becky at WrestleMania. Simple. Becky beats Ronda, Charlotte beats Shayna, we're off to the races. Becky is not dropping the title to anybody. If Becky's dropping the title, they're taking it from her, and then she fights for what she never lost. A match with Rousey and the Raw Women's Championship instead of the SmackDown Championship. Done. If Becky is okay to fight, even then I strip her of the title. Turn into a storyline. She's going to get the greater reward in the end. You're going to give it up now, you're going to get the greater reward in the end. I think she would be okay with that. Plus, it far tells a greater story than her losing. You don't want her losing at all going to a match with Ronda Rousey. At all. There's no one on that roster. She beat Charlotte. Asuka maybe, but Charlotte is much better off than Asuka. Asuka's dead in the water. She's irrelevant. So, Becky should lose to nobody. I don't want to hear about Becky losing, period. That's it. I booked it for you. Take it, and then pay me. I'll give you my PayPal royalties to JD from NY. Okay? Becky Lynch vs. Ronda Rousey is being considered for the WrestleMania 35 main event. Becky Lynch clearly positioned as the main event now for WrestleMania after what Nia Jax did to her. But Dave Meltzer noted on the Wrestling Observer radio show that while WWE officials were trying to figure out what they would do for SmackDown Live and Becky Lynch, they were already considering adding it to WrestleMania. The match that everybody wanted to see, the Mania match today, he says, it's talked about. It's Ronda versus Becky, which is probably going to be the main event at Mania, or one of the two big matches at Mania. This swap would make perfect sense, seeing how Ronda versus Charlotte has been long considered for the possible main event of WrestleMania 35. Also, this switch might also cause Lynch to win the Royal Rumble and then go after Rousey's title on Raw. Only time will tell exactly how WWE gets it done if they go that direction. So, it's happening. And if it doesn't happen, then fuck this company and every aspect of it. Like I mentioned, I don't want to throw his name around because he's out, but fuck him. Roman Reigns was booked for years to take on the Beast and take the title from if they could put so much effort into that, you could certainly give me Becky and Ronda for 4 fucking months. And then the next chapter, which is the UFC versus WWE Horsewomen. That's it. It books itself. It's as if WWE left the pen. And the pen has Harry Potter type fucking abilities, right? It's writing itself. It's scripting your own fucking plans. Leave it. It's going to write itself. It doesn't take that much effort to give me the maximum storyline here. And I love it. I love it. Nia sucks. Nia is awful. But listen, in the end, we have Nia to thank. We have Nia's shitty wrestling ability and her carelessness to thank for making us wait on what could potentially be the best women's storyline in all of WWE history. Love it. Absolutely love it. Moving on here, guys. Let's quickly go over the predictions for these shows. There was a lot of news, man. A lot of fucking news. I had to get all that out. Otherwise, it's dead news. So why not? You got a major off-the-script episode today for it. Quickly, man, let's go over NXT TakeOver. I am going to run through these very, very quickly so I can get the hell on out of here. We got Johnny Gargano versus Alistair Black, the best storyline right now probably in all of WWE, coming to a head on Saturday night. I am going with Johnny Gargano because, A, I think Alistair Black is getting called up. You're going to see Alistair Black take the loss here. And where he is, he's going to kind of get scaled down on NXT TV. He's going to get called up to either SmackDown or Raw. And Johnny Gargano makes sense here for the win. Because if Johnny loses, then where does he go from here? Johnny needs to win so that he can get in with Champa and then kill Champa from within. Then we get that match at WrestleMania, and Johnny is the NXT champion. That's where the likely story should go. I don't know where WWE is going to go with this, but I'm going with Johnny Gargano over Alistair Black. That may be the best match of the entire show. Not only the entire show, but the entire weekend. We got Tommaso Ciampa versus Velveteen Dream. Tommaso Ciampa is the very best heel in all of WWE, and if you're the very best at what you do, then you do not lose the championship. Tommaso Ciampa is going to beat the Velveteen Dream. Velveteen Dream is getting called up to the main roster. It's going to be a great match. We may see Gargano factor in that as well. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. You know, maybe Johnny helps Ciampa win, just to kind of play the story of, you know, I'm helping you out. You know, I realize that your ways are the right ways. But maybe, you know, it may come off like that on TV, but in Johnny's mind, he wants Ciampa with the championship because the reason he took out Alistair Black was because he wanted Ciampa all by himself. So maybe he's setting him up to keep the title on Ciampa so that he's the only one that could take it off of him. So Johnny may factor into that, but Ciampa, no question. This is the easiest match to predict. Ciampa's going to win. He's going to retain the NXT Championship. I think Dream's getting called up because there realistically is nothing else for him to do on NXT. We're going with Kairi Sane over Shayna Baszler for the NXT Women's Championship. 2 out of 3 falls. Clearly, after what I just booked with Becky Lynch and Charlotte and Ronda Rousey, Shayna is going to be at the Survivor Series. Shayna is going to be on SmackDown Live. And Shayna is going to drop the title to Kairi Sane. I think Kairi Sane is going to go on to battle Bianca Belair. I think Shayna Baszler is getting called up to the main roster. And I think as far as falls go, I think Shayna's going to get the first fall relatively quickly, and Kairi's going to win the last 2. Instead of going the 1-1 and then the tiebreaker in the end, I'm going with Shayna to win the first fall, continue her domination from Evolution. Kairi gets the last 2 and wins the championship and becomes a 2-time women's champion. Now, the only thing that's throwing me off here is that they gave the title to Shayna, and they're taking it off her almost immediately. But they have bigger plans for her, I'm sure. So, whatever the case may be, Kairi's a 2-time women's champion. Shayna gets called up, and we get the major storyline with the Horsewomen really taking shape on the main roster. Kairi is a 2-time NXT women's champion. War Games, I'm going with Undisputed Era, man. I'm going with Undisputed because they are right now the #1 group in the entire WWE. They are at maximum strength. I don't see how you're going to have them come back at maximum strength and lose. They run NXT. They will be running NXT for the foreseeable future. Undisputed Era has a major match against the War Raiders. War Raiders are an over babyface team. They need to be on the receiving end of a loss. The chase begins for the tag team titles. Adam Cole, the chase begins for the NXT Championship. Maybe he has one more match with Ricochet, and then gets positioned into the main event when Johnny Gargano wins the championship. I mentioned this months ago. Johnny Gargano is going to win the NXT Championship at TakeOver at WrestleMania weekend, and Adam Cole is going to be his first opponent. So I'm going with Undisputed Era here at TakeOver in War Games in what should be an absolute fucking classic. Every one of these matches has the opportunity to be a classic, but I'm going with Undisputed Era to win the War Games match 2 years in a row. Survivor Series. Buddy Murphy versus Mustafa Ali. I'm going with Buddy Murphy, man. He just won the title. Mustafa Ali is so great, but too soon to take the title off Buddy Murphy. I'm going with Buddy Murphy in a match that ultimately could be the best match of the entire show. Going with Buddy Murphy to retain the Cruiserweight Championship. Team Raw, you got James, Jax, Tamina, Natalya, and Ruby Riott with Alexa Bliss as captain versus SmackDown. Carmella, Naomi, Deville, Asuka, and a mystery partner. That mystery partner, I'm predicting it to be Shayna Baszler, and she is going to lead SmackDown's team to victory over Raw. Ziggler, McIntyre, Balor, Lashley, Strowman versus SmackDown, Miz, Mysterio, McMahon, Joe, and Hardy as of right now. My prediction is that AJ takes over Shane's spot, and Orton takes over Hardy's spot. I can't see AJ Styles not on the Survivor Series show, so I think both of those guys take those two guys' spots. I'm going with Team SmackDown here, and that's that. So we got, right now, I'm going with the Survivor Series matches, both going to SmackDown. AOP versus The Bar, I'm going with The Bar. I'm going with The Bar to, actually, you know what, never mind. Being that we got 2 SmackDown wins, I'm going with AOP. I'm going with AOP over The Bar. AOP is Raw. I'm going with Raw to beat SmackDown in that match. AOP should not be losing. You know, The Bar could take a loss. You know, it's not going to do anything tonight. I think AOP needs to win more, so I'm going with AOP there. So right now, out of those 3 matches, it's 2-1 SmackDown. Rollins and Nakamura. I'm going with Nakamura because Dean Ambrose is not booked on the show. So I'm going with Shinsuke Nakamura with help from Dean Ambrose. So right now, we got Team SmackDown winning both Survivor Series matches. We got AOP beating The Bar, so that's 2-1 for SmackDown. Shinsuke winning would make it 3-1 SmackDown. I'm going with Shinsuke with help from Dean. Dean is going to fuck over Seth. Okay? Ronda versus Charlotte. I'm going with Ronda to win because of Shayna Baszler. I'm going with Ronda to give Raw a 3-2 deficit here. And then Daniel Bryan and Brock Lesnar. I'm going with Brock Lesnar. And I'm going with Raw and SmackDown ending up 3-3 at the Survivor Series. Now, WWE probably won't book it that way. They're going to have one team win over the other. But, you know, logically, Raw should not be winning anything. Raw should not be winning anything. The kickoff show, you know, if you want to factor that in, I guess you could factor that in, the kickoff show. You know, SmackDown, by all accounts, should be winning this Survivor Series. It'll probably be SmackDown 4, Raw 3. But I don't know if it's going to end that way. WWE, you know, they gave Raw the advantage the last couple of years. Let's give SmackDown a fucking advantage this year, you know? So Team SmackDown with the tag team match, there's no way that Raw's teams are better than SmackDown. It's just by fucking name value and logic alone. So I'm going with SmackDown, if you're going to add that, winning the entire Survivor Series event 4-3. So, again, we're going with Lesnar over Bryan, Ronda over Charlotte, Nakamura over Seth. We're going with Team SmackDown over Team Raw in the men's, Team SmackDown over Team Raw in the women's, AOP versus The Bar. I'm going with AOP, and then I'm going with Buddy Murphy over Mustafa Ali for the Cruiserweight Championship, and then SmackDown over Raw in the kickoff match with the tag teams going head-to-head. That is my prediction right there for Survivor Series. And holy shit, man. What a podcast. We got almost 2 hours in of Survivor Series talk, man. Holy shit. Thank you guys so much. If you lasted this far, you guys are the fucking beasts of Off the Script, man. Thank you guys so very much. Let me know what you guys think of literally everything. I know it's a lot to digest. Let me know what you guys think of everything that we talked about. The booking of the 4 Horsewomen. The booking of Becky into the Royal Rumble with Nia. The booking of Shayna and Charlotte on SmackDown Live. The booking of AJ and Brock at WrestleMania. leading to AJ going to Raw with the potential of Kenny Omega coming over and having that major program with AJ Styles. Let me know what you guys think of everything going on, man, that was in this podcast. Thank you so very much. If you enjoyed it, please hit that thumbs up. Let me know what you guys are thinking down below in the comments section. Barbershopwindow.com/offthescript. Get your shirts. Barbershopwindow.com. Code BSHOP20 for 20% off. Harrys.com/script for your free trial shave set. Plus $5 off their holiday shave set. Audibletrial.com/offthescript. Get your free audiobook today and 30 days free of Audible service. And if you guys want to follow me on social media, man, JD from NY206, hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications, and Patreon if you guys want to support the Patreon page, patreon.com/JD from NY206, man. Thank you guys so very much for everything. I'm getting out of here. I am fucking drained of 2 hours of this podcast, man, but I'll be back on Saturday with more news and rumors to round out the weekend. You're probably not going to get a video on Sunday because we got Survivor Series happening on Sunday at 5 p.m. Gonna want to give myself a break. I got Takeover happening on Saturday night, review on Saturday night, Survivor Series on Sunday night, so we'll probably do parts 1 and part 2. That's it this weekend. And then whatever else I have, I'll save for an extra during the next week, man. So thank you guys so very much. I'm getting out of here. Let me know what you think of everything down below. Leave me a comment, leave a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with part 2 of this weekend's Off the Script and NXT TakeOver Saturday night with the review coming immediately after the show. Thank you so much. Have a great night. I'll talk to you guys later.